Hi, in this video we will learn how to fill in the site feature card. First thing, go in the archaeological assessment and click on the site feature card. A new window will appear with all the information regarding the site feature of your site. In this card, you will record the details about the different features which make up the heritage place you are recording. You might only need to enter one if the heritage place you are recording is, for example, a single cairn, or you may need to make several for complex urban sites with many features. Consider how the different types of features you have observed can be grouped together, first based on their physical characteristics and also by their interpretation. You will create an individual site feature entry for each type of feature that can be grouped together. So, for example, a cluster group of circular structure can be grouped together. An isolated wall will be left alone and recorded separately. If you are recording one or more complex features within your heritage place, for example, a temple within your site, and you need to add more data such as location, condition assessment, you can also think about creating a separate heritage place record for your feature and then link it to your heritage place. So the temple inside your site with the relationship between the two different heritage places. So let's try to fill the site feature card for our case study, the Rujm al-Faridiyya site. So the first section is called the site feature form, as you can see here. In this part, you will describe the physical characteristics of the individual or group of site feature or features that you are recording. Click on the Site Feature Form Type field and choose the first type of feature that you can observe at the site from the drop-down list. As usual, refer to the glossaries for detailed definitions of all these terms. In this case, we have a single feature, a structure, so we click on Structure. After you click on the first field, you will have to go to the second field that is called Site Feature Form Type Certainty. So you have to ask yourself now, how certain am I that I have correctly identified the feature in the site? And here, if you click on the field, you will find again a drop-down list with different terms. And as usual, I want to remind you that definite is only if you really identified and confirmed the feature on the ground. In this case, is definite because it was verified by the Wadi Asa survey. So I click definite and I click on add to record this information. As you can see, you can find this entry in blue text under the add button, as well as in the inside the card tree. As you can see, three new cards appear. The first is Site Feature Shape Type. You will not see them here in the main window, so you have to click on them to fill them. So you have to describe, in this case, the shape of your feature. So you are talking about the individual features in case you grouped a group of different elements of the site. So in this case is rectangular square, and I click on add. And you can see this is visible now here. You can edit clicking again on this field, or you can delete your entry clicking on the red button. You now have to go on and click on the site feature arrangement type. So you click, and again a new window will appear. And so in this field, you have to describe the arrangement of the different features, and you can click on it, and you can, as usual, refer to the glossary for detailed definitions. In this case, the site is discrete, sorry, and you click on add. The next field to complete is the site feature number type. You click again on the card, and here you can select the number of feature that you are describing or recording, in this case 1, and you click on add again. If you are recording a feature that has multiple components forms which are directly related, so they will form, just to explain better, so they will form a single interpretation, you can add additional site feature forms by clicking on site feature form in the card tree and repeating all the steps that I showed you now. For example, you may record a structure, but also a pit, shaft, tunnel, because together these two forms combine to make the interpretation of a well. So again, just to show you, but in this case we have just a single structure. You can click again here on the card tree, and you can start again to fill a new site feature form. In this case, we will not do it because we have just the structure of the fort of Ruj al-Faridiyya. So going on, there is the site feature interpretation. Click on it to fill this part. In this card, you will list the non-interpretation or interpretations of the feature or the features you identified in the site feature form section above that we already filled. Click on the site feature entry in the card tree, and as we see, we enter in this window. So the first field is site feature interpretation type. Click on it and choose an interpretation. Choose the interpretation that best describe your feature form. So in this case, we go for fort, fortress, castle. In the field below, site feature interpretation certainty, again you have to entry how much you are certain about the interpretation you gave before. And in this case, and also in this case, you have to refer to the glossaries for detailed definition. So again, you can use definite only if the interpretation of the feature was confirmed on the ground. In this case, we know that the site was visited by the Wadi Asa survey. In this part, again, we have the site feature interpretation number type, and in this case, we have to click again 1 because we are just referring to this single fort. And I click on add to add this information. So in this case was an easy example in our site, but you have to repeat again all the steps I showed you before, clicking here on site feature interpretation, or as many times as necessary until you have listed all of the non-interpretation of this individual feature that you are recording. An important thing to note is that the number of interpretation entries does not necessarily have to match the number of the feature form entries that we filled above. Because, for example, multiple form entries may be combined to create more or less interpretations. It's the same example of the well, where the structure and the shaft combined create the well. Another thing I want to remind you is that you should only list multiple interpretation if they are all applicable to the feature you are recording. Do not list multiple possible interpretations just because you are not sure. For example, if your feature form is a group of 2 to 5 clustered circular cairns, you could create interpretation as both 2 to 5 tomb, grave, burials, and one cemetery, because both interpretations are equally applicable. However, if you are not certain of the interpretation of the cairns, because they could be tombs, but they could be also, for example, clearance cairns, then you should pick the interpretation you think it's more likely, but not both. If you are really not sure, you should choose unknown. Following the site feature interpretation, there is the heritage place resource instance. And you click on heritage place resource instance in the card tree, and you can see here a new window will appear. In this field, you can record the relationship between the specific site feature that you are recording with another heritage place. If there are no relevant relationships of this kind, you may leave this field blank. So to make an example, if your heritage place records a site with many different site features, for example, there is a cemetery, a temple, many houses, in certain cases you can create separate heritage records for one or more of these features, as I told you before, like for example the temple, if you need to add specific information about location, condition assessment, and so on. In this field, you can link the temple, so this site feature entry, directly to the separate heritage place record that you made for it. This relationship is specifically for this site feature group, so it is specific group that is related to an heritage place. If you want to relate the whole heritage place to another whole heritage place, you should not use this card, but you should use the related resource card that is here. I want to show you, it's at the end of the card tree. So I just repeat to be as clear as possible. So this relation that you can click on the field and you can select another heritage place. You can see all the Yamina number. This is a relationship only between a specific site feature form and another heritage place, not between a whole heritage place and a whole other heritage place. So if you want to create this type of relationship, you have to click and you can type in, for example, the name of the resource you are looking for, if you know the Yamina ID, or you can just scroll down and look for the right the right record. And otherwise, you can also click on Create a new heritage place and fill in the assessment a summary for this new heritage place. But if you start to create a new heritage place, please remember to come back and complete the record for the heritage place that you are creating here, and to complete also the all the archaeological assessment of the heritage place, the new heritage place that you created. Then after you select one, you click on Add, and the relationship will be added. It will be a default relationship type, so this site contains or confine with this other related site. In this case, we don't do this because there is not a relationship between this site and this other heritage place that I chose just as example. So I cancel my edit. At this point, there is a new card under Heritage Place Resource Instance, and it's called Build Component. In this field, you can record a relationship between the specific site feature within the heritage place with one or more build components. If there are no relevant relationships of this kind, you may leave this field blank. The system is the same as the Heritage Place Resource Instance. You can click and select one of the components, or you can type inside a component name if you know the component ID. Otherwise, you can also click on Create a new build component to create a new record. A build component record is for cases when it's necessary to record the smaller component part of features, such individual walls of a structure, perhaps because a conservator has to study them, or you have to make a detailed condition assessment for them in the field. It will then be relevant to link these build component records to the structure inside the heritage place. But in this case, we don't have any build component, and so we leave this card blank.